It's hard to listen to the news without realizing we're living in volatile, unprecedented times. Yet never has there been such an opportunity to transform the human condition. As old structures fail, where can we find the guidance to co-create a better way? Find Your Path Home is an ever-evolving, leading-edge information, education, and healing resource center designed to support and guide you on your path to unity and enlightenment. Based on sound principles employed by shamans worldwide, we provide techniques that can support you through the current transitions, offering online shamanic classes, international long-distance shamanic healing sessions, complimentary Mission Evolution radio episodes and Stairway to Heaven TV vignettes, seminars, retreats, and much more. All of this can be found on findyourpathhome.com.
If you are looking for a safe, zero-calorie natural option to the harmful artificial sweeteners on the market today, Just Like Sugar is what you're looking for. Just Like Sugar is a wonderful natural alternative for those health-conscious people who choose a calorie-restricted diet with a great, pure, sweet flavor that tastes just like sugar. Just Like Sugar is a great natural option for people suffering from diabetes and may be useful in restricted diet programs where standard sugars are not allowed and does not cause a laxative effect of some other sweeteners. Just Like Sugar comprises a perfect blend of chicory root fiber, natural calcium, natural vitamin C, and Just Like Sugar's sweetness comes from the natural flavors from the peel of the orange. Just Like Sugar is a natural alternative to harmful artificial sweeteners and will change the way that you believe all natural sweetener products taste. Just Like Sugar is available at your local Whole Foods markets, Wild Oats markets, Henry's, Sun Harvest, and many other fine natural food stores in the U.S., Canada, and worldwide. Do you think you have energy problems in your home? Do you feel better when you're away than when you're home? Joey Korn is a global leader in the world of dowsing who specializes in personal energy clearing and space clearing. He can help you create an ideal energy environment in your home no matter where you live in the world. Learn about his remote spiritual house cleaning services and much more at www.dowsers.com. You can get Joey's book, Dowsing, A Path to Enlightenment, as well as other dowsing books and tools, Kabbalah books, and Walter Russell books. Joey's work is really amazing. Go to dowsers.com right now. That's DOWSERS.com or call 1-877-DOWSING. That's 1-877-369-7464. Welcome to the Connecting with Coincidence radio show with Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, bringing together the world's synchronicity experts to help you use meaningful coincidences to develop spiritually, psychologically, and practically. For more information, put Connecting with Coincidence into your web browser to find the book, website, Psychology Today blog, YouTube channel, and Facebook page. And now, here is the host of the Connecting with Coincidence radio show, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show, and welcome Jason and you other loyal listeners, and welcome to you who are new to the program. Today we talk about clairvoyance, seeing and sensing things at a distance. And please keep this in mind when talking with a friend. After discussing the weather, tell each other the best coincidence story you can think of. And here's one from the football practice field of mine from a college incident on that field. While we were practicing, without knowing why, and this is a key thing, without knowing why, I set up 2 tackling dummies on the practice field. I picked up a football and then twice ran between them, those tackling dummies. Two days later, returning a punt against Johns Hopkins, I confronted the same situation on the football field. There were 2 guys right next to each other coming at me, and I knew what to do. I ran right between them and went 90 yards for a touchdown. Seems like I knew something about the future. Well, you heard my coincidence story. Tell people yours. Ask for theirs. Suzanne Clores, our guest today, is the author of the book Memoirs of a Spiritual Outsider, and the founder and producer of the podcast The Extraordinary Project, podcast. Her work has appeared in Salon, Elle, the Rumpus, aired on National Public Radio. Recently, she was awarded an Illinois Arts Council Literary Prize and an Artist in Residency at the Ragdale Foundation in Lake Forest, Illinois. Welcome back to the show, Suzanne.
Thank you so much, Bernie. It's great to be here.
Well, tell me, what do you think of that story I just told?
Well, a few things came to mind. I think one was, and I forget this until you tell stories like this, you are an athlete and you are a lifelong athlete. And there's something about being in the present moment that is very familiar to athletes and natural, I think, more natural than for many of us. And so it makes sense to me that you had an idea or you had a feeling or an impression that you should set up.
It was a feeling, and it was a feeling to move. And that feeling to move is what I want to get across to our audience, is that sometimes those feelings to move for no good reason may have a reason behind them. So you may as well see what happens.
Right. And I think as an athlete, you must be trained just to follow that all the time. You don't even question it. You don't attach a plan to it. You don't wonder why.
That's a good point too, because I was returning another kickoff at another time during a game, and I just had this feeling that I should go to the left around the 40-yard line as I picked the ball up around about the 3-yard line, and just felt like I should go left. Oh, I think I'll go left. Which I did, and then that was a 97-yard run that ended up on that one, and I think you're right. When you're out there and running, you've got to respond to something that tells you maybe this is the better thing to do.
Right. And information is coming in. It sounds like, I mean, I'm not an athlete, but I danced for a long time. And so there is like a certain amount of bodily information that comes into you. But if you're playing a game, I imagine you're not really questioning it. You can't possibly process all of that. I mean, all of that information at the speed that is required.
No, you can't. When that said go turn left, it was as if I was talking to somebody. It was very in what regular time might seem to be at that moment while I was running with the ball and these big guys were trying to knock me down. It was very quiet, that quiet in the midst of the storm kind of experience.
Do you ever think about like the idea that you're communicating with your future self in some ways, or you're kind of talking to another version of yourself? Have you ever heard that theory?
I've heard that idea. Why don't you tell us a little bit more about what you mean?
Oh, well, just very generally, there's an idea that I enjoy, that we are always in conversation with our future self and our past self, and that we may not be listening to one or the other, but in moments when you actually it matters that you listen, such as a high pressure game or a life-threatening situation, or even a moment where you're at a fork in the road. There is this silent conversation that goes on between the present you and the you in the future.
How come you refer to it as a you in the future? For me, it's me right now, and I'm better off going that way rather than this.
Oh, yeah, right. I mean, possibly. But you did mention it was almost like you were having a conversation. So it was you having a conversation with you?
I see. Let me go back to that a little bit. It was... Yeah, I can't. It's now you're asking me to separate, and that's a good idea. Who was talking to who? I did say it that way. It was almost like a decision. Like, I think I'll go get a drink, or I'll go get a glass of water, or I'm going to go eat something, or maybe I better set the table or take the garbage out. It was almost like that kind of feeling. It was like it was time to do this.
I like that. I mean, And then, of course, there are all of these ideas and a fair amount of evidence that you can sense events precognitively.
Yes, yes, and this one on the where we're just talking about, take a left on the 40-yard line, was an in the moment decision to make. The story about running between the two tackling dummies and having the feeling of needing to do that. It was a strange thing. It was a kind of the same kind of thing where it just came to me to go over there. It was less verbal. It was more like kinesthetic, do this feeling. And I just set up these tackling dummies, walked 10 yards away from them with the football, turned around with my back to them, then turned around and faced them, and then sprinted at them and then between these dummies 2 times. And that's really what happened on the football field, because I had to catch up the punt over my head and then turn around. And then when I turned around again about the 10-yard line, I saw these 2 guys from Johns Hopkins coming right at me. And in that moment, it was just a calm. I knew what to do. Just sprint between them as I had done 2 days earlier.
That definitely sounds like other precognitive events I've heard people tell me about. And does it? I don't know, in terms of a coincidence. Like, I think it is a coincidence, but I think it's a coincidence that comes from possibly detecting the event ahead of time.
Yes, I think that's what we're saying. Coincidence is a broad term which suggests their 2 events might have a relationship or a causal connection between the 2 of them. And when we use the term precognition, we're beginning to say, well, it's not just a coincidence, it's got some kind of link between the 2 events that may be causal. We don't know how clairvoyance works, but it's a step or precognition. It's a step in the direction of understanding how it works. And I bring the story up to you because we're going to talk about, in the next segment, we're talking about one of your stories, but the idea that for our listeners, being able to recognize the possibility that we have the capacity to see the future is what this story is intended to convey. That we can do that sometimes. It's not just a coincidence that I had never done that tackling dummy before, and had not done it after that. I was playing rugby at Yale, and the same thing happened. I saw 2 guys standing there in front of the goal line, and I said, "Well, I've been here before," and went right between them. It was only like a 7 or 8 yard thing, but it was like the same. I'd seen it before, so that's more like I had practiced it. But this one with the tackling dummies, I felt the future somehow.
And you didn't maybe know you were feeling the future, but you knew to listen to, or you knew to act and have agency.
Exactly. And I didn't know it, but I did it. And that's what stops people from doing it. You don't know why you're doing it, but you do it. And it's an extension of everything Freud didn't pay attention to about the unconscious having so much in it. And it's before the collective unconscious of Jung. It's kind of in between this place where we can read reality in this reality in ways different from what Freud, and somewhat a way Jung might have included it somewhere, could do. So we'll get on to your story in the next segment. You're listening today to Connecting with Coincidence. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD. We're talking with Suzanne Clores, and we're going to talk more about clairvoyance and precognition in our next segment.
How would you like to be able to read other people's minds? Well, the next best thing is here. When you know how to read a person's name, you know how the person thinks, feels, and behaves. Each letter in our name holds a key to unlock our true essence. Our name contains both our gifts and challenges in this lifetime. Mnemology science discovers personality secrets hidden in the placement of the letters of our names, including the first and last impression people remember about us. Sharon shows us how to interpret the arrangement of letters as outlined in her book, Know the Name, Know the Person. Sharon Lynn Wyeth created mnemology science after 18 years of research and testing her theories, and has supported thousands of people around the world in understanding themselves and others better. You'll enjoy Sharon's unique teachings as she shares her system to learn the gifts behind your given birth name. Even if you don't like your birth name, there are jewels in this book. If you're thinking of changing your name, ready to name your child, or wanting to get along better with others, this is the book for you. If you'd like to improve your relationships and change your life for the better, get the book today, Know the Name, Know the Person, or visit www.knowthename.com. That's www.knowthename.com. The new nonfiction book, Razor of Madness, is similar to cult movies like Clockwork Orange, Dragon's Tattoo, or The Other Side of Hell. Wayne Morin Jr. and Thomas Lee Howell will expose widespread and systematic deficiencies in this thought-provoking tell-all novel. Mind control rages among scholars in law schools. Human rights are ignored while thought reform and mental manipulation are accepted practices used as behavior modification. Dr. Louis Jolyon West comes to mind. Media and public scrutiny shows that United States mental hospitals are in fact destructive murder industries. Razor of Madness expose novel details this epidemic through an in-depth professional and personal investigation. For decades, there has been a revolving door policy that still releases killers and pedophiles back into society. The maestro of mind control continues to haunt America to this very day. Razor of Madness is available in paperback or as a downloadable ebook at Amazon.com.
Path Home Shamanic Art School has just launched a new online series of classes, Galactic Shamanism, Art of the Ancients, Key to Tomorrow. In these classes, composed and taught by Path Home founder and director Gwilda Wiyaka, you'll learn practical shamanic skills to support your daily life, such as how to build a medicine wheel to access the power of the earth, perform a shamanic journey, create sacred space in which to live and work, empower your life with totem animals, elementals, and fairy folk, and learn the art of accurately reading signs and omens. These tried and true skills are the key to living a powerful, productive life. Visit us at findyourpathhome.com to see the ever-growing collection of classes and leading-edge information to support you during these times of uncertainty and transition. All can be found at findyourpathhome.com.
Welcome back to CC with BB, Connecting with Coincidence. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD. We're speaking with Suzanne Clores, who is the author of Memoirs of a Spiritual Outsider. Suzanne, you told me a story I'd like to be able to ask you to tell our audience that involved your friend Garrett.
Yes, sure. So part of what I do is in my podcast for the Extraordinary Project is I interview a lot of practitioners, scientists, experts in the field of extraordinary phenomena. But I also sometimes work with these practitioners. And Garrett is a clairvoyant energy healer. And I've worked with him for several years, always remotely. Any time that I have an experience of pain that I cannot manage, and I will, forever wonder how he does what he does since he's working remotely, but I have always had success. And so I asked Garrett to come to my house to, because he's often in town, to sit down for an interview with proper audio equipment and really just get him to talk about the mechanism of his work, because usually when we work together, he's working as a practitioner on, and I am receiving the energy healing. But we never really talk about the mechanism or how it works. And it's, as you can imagine, if you haven't worked with a clairvoyant healer, it's about as mysterious as it sounds. And so it felt like a great coup to get in conversation with Garrett. We were sitting in my living room. It was a Sunday night, and he started talking about, yes.
I know an energy healer who I've done it both at a distance and had the pleasure of his being in my presence. Mm-hmm. And I found that having him in my presence made a big difference. Although for him it wasn't that much of a difference. So right. I'm familiar with what you're talking about, but here you're talking with Garrett about how it works, and I'm fascinated. I'm really glad that you try to figure out how this stuff works, because that's what I love to do. So there you are with Garrett saying, "Hey, baby, what's happening here? How do you do this? What's going
happening?" Exactly, and we're not. He's not working on me. We're just having a conversation. Yeah. So that's different. But as he's talking about, his way of tapping into energy and seeing energy, and he has the skill, the ability to see energy in people and probably other things. But he likened it to, he started talking about Jesus, which surprised me, because in the decade that I've worked with him, he has never talked about religion or God or spirituality or Jesus. It just hasn't been part of our sessions. And so I was listening, and I was a little bit unprepared to talk about Jesus. But what he said was that in his view, Jesus was working primarily when Jesus was alive and attracting followers and healing people and performing miracles. In his view, he was working as a clairvoyant energy healer, among other things. And at that moment, there was a knock on my door, which is strange for a Sunday night. I live in a quiet neighborhood. People don't come knocking on my door ever. So I ignored it, and we kept talking. We had the audio equipment on, and it would have been disruptive to stop. And then there was another knock, and we ignored it again. But I was getting irritated, because usually when you don't answer the door, the person goes away. And finally, we go back to our conversation, and a minute later, there's a third knock. And so at that point, Garrett just starts laughing and says, "They seem to require your attention. Why don't you go answer the door?" And so I went to the door, and lo and behold, were two young men, smiling, well-dressed, from the Jesus Christ Church of Latter-day Saints. And I said, okay, well, I just opened the door, and I greeted them, and I told them that I was busy, and they said, "Oh, okay, is there a time that's convenient for us to come back?" And I said, "Well, you can really come back anytime this week." And I meant it. It would be fine if they came back. Out of respect, I always say, like, sure, you can come back. I closed the door and told Garrett, went back to the interview, told Garrett who it was, and he said, "I'm not surprised." And I said, "Really?" And he said, "No." I said, "Don't you think that's a strange coincidence that we were just talking about Jesus, and then there was a knock on the door, and two representatives from the Church of Latter-day Saints were at the door?" And he said, "Not really. They were attracted to the conversation from afar. They were attracted to the energy, and they wanted to be part of it. They wanted to be seen."
Attracted to the energy.
Mm-hmm.
We have all kinds of ways of explaining things, especially getting out into the weirdness of coincidences,
mm-hmm.
And all the things that subsumes coincidences have under them. I like that he called it a strange coincidence. I use the word weird a lot, but I look for various adjectives to kind of to to denote, to demarcate the coincidences that are probably worth looking at, those that have a low probability of happening.
Mm-hmm.
And this one was illustrates how timing increases or decreases probability, increases the weirdness factor.
Mm-hmm.
That he had just been talking about Jesus, and here comes people who belong to an organization that has Jesus in its name.
Mm-hmm.
So that and that happened while almost he was talking about it. The narrower the time window, the weirder or the lower the probability of the coincidence, and the more it attracts our attention to wonder how it works.
Mm-hmm.
So for him, it was an energy thing,
Mm-hmm.
that they picked up his energy,
Mm-hmm.
talking about Jesus. What do you think of that explanation?
Well, I think when I'm with Garrett, I do tend to see through his lens. And so
Well, you're kind of an empathic person.
yes.
And yeah, you tune in, and I can tell that from our conversations that you go right to what the other person's experience is really fast.
Yes, yes, it's easy for me. It's almost like the cell wall is very permeable. So
Permeable is a great name for it.
Yeah.
Other people call it porous.
Right, porous for sure. Right, yes.
No, permeable. I like permeable because permeable suggests a variation in the density or the thickness or the traffic across the boundary. Permeable boundary usually is one that can vary.
Right.
Porous means it's kind of fixed. So I'm sure you can close it down sometimes.
Oh, yes.
And you need to.
Yes.
So permeable is a great name for what you do.
No, thank you. Yeah, it takes work, and I do think that there was time when I didn't know how to close it down. But I think with Garrett,
it makes you crazy when you can't do it, man. It just makes it crazy.
Yeah.
I mean, I've let it down and then gotten into some really weird minds with it and made me nuts. I mean, we get down deep into like I'm an intergalactic agent kind of discussion with somebody, and out comes all this stuff from the other person, and I pick it up. And it's like, for a couple of days I got to recover from it. So it really is a problem sometimes.
So often that's why I call Garrett, because I did not close my boundaries and I get everybody's stuff in my space. And he's very skilled at pulling everything out. And so.
Oh, wow. What a metaphor there.
Yes.
That's not so metaphorical. That's a more descriptive way of understanding what he does for you.
Yes, but it's taken a long time. I've always known as a experiencer that's what's happened, but it's taken a long time to put language to it. And so I think, number one, I think he's right.
Right about what?
That the representatives from LDS were attracted to the conversation that we were having, even though in the minute that it happened, I was kind of like, "Come on, really? You think that they felt the vibe of our conversation from a block away? This isn't." It's not like they overheard our conversation. It's not like we were out in the open. It's not like they could see us and we were dressed like people having a conversation about energy healing. It's not like there were any concrete signs that they could respond to. So those always, for better or worse, those questions always go through my mind, even if I know that Garrett's assessment is correct. There's always a part of me that's kind of like, are you sure?
Well, it's very important to be skeptical and all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And we're coming to the end of this segment, and
Sure.
I will demonstrate a form of skepticism that took me quite a while to learn as we look at the mechanism about Garrett and the LDS people.
Okay.
You're listening to Connecting with Coincidence. I am your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD. We are talking with Suzanne Clores, who is the author of Memoirs of a Spiritual Outsider.
Modern Esoteric, Beyond Our Senses by Brad Olson, consummates the lifology story about where humanity originates. It is the lost continents, the primitive wisdom, the mythos of creation, and the rethinking of ancient history as we are taught in academia. There is much more to the story than what we have been told. As this is the first book in the Esoteric series, Modern Esoteric starts at the beginning of time and accelerates up to this modern age. Future Esoteric is book 2 in the series and takes a forward-looking position ahead of today with an open and honest examination of the ET issue and various unexplained phenomena. To discover the writings of author Brad Olson, visit www.bradolson.com. That's www.bradolson.com. Are you considering calling a psychic to read your situation? Then consider David Champion, a psychic medium for more than 20 years with thousands of readings under his belt. David Champion will make you feel comfortable. He has proven to be honest and accurate. He's a straight shooter. There's no guesswork. What he sees is what you get. While he is a medium, most of the calls focus on relationships, not only love, but work, school, neighbors, and more. Need help with finding a job and preparing for the interview? Are you dealing with people who are obstacles in your path? For more information, go to davidchampion.com, $1.50 per minute paid by credit card with a minimum of 30 minutes. For your reading with David Champion, call 1-877-702-8598. That's 1-877-702-8598. Afterlife expert Roberta Grimes was the first one to say that dying can be fun. Now her best-selling book, The Fun of Dying, is available in stores worldwide. So if you wonder whether death ends life, how it feels to die, or what heaven might be like, The Fun of Dying was written for you. And if you have always been afraid of death, or if you worry that your life has no meaning, let The Fun of Dying ease your fears and bring new meaning to your life. Nothing said in The Fun of Dying is based on the teachings of any religion. Instead, Roberta draws on evidence to explain how death happens, how it feels, and what comes next. A lot of the best death-related evidence was produced in the first half of the 20th century. When it is put together with recent discoveries, it tells a consistent and amazing story. Roberta Grimes blogs and answers questions at robertagrimes.com. Her wonderful book, The Fun of Dying, is available on Amazon and at stores worldwide wherever books are sold.
Bum bum buddy ba-doom ba-dum ba. Welcome back to CC with your BB. Yeah. I'm here talking with Suzanne Clores, author of the Memoirs of a Spiritual Outsider, and we were just talking about our friend Garrett and how he thought that his energy, and he's an energy healer, attracted a pair of Mormon Latter-day Saint people to the door of Suzanne's house. And I find this a way I used to think, and I don't so much anymore, that there are two people involved with this, or at least Garrett and the other pair. And the idea that they picked it up from Garrett is one way of thinking about it. And the other thing is that they might have known something about Garrett starting to be able to talk about it. They could have picked up, well, let's go to this house or that house, but they might have picked up their own capacity to be clairvoyant or precognitive, that it wasn't a passive thing only on their part to come up with going to knock on this house, but it might have been an active thing where they were registering the possibility. Now that I'm saying this, it doesn't sound that different, but I'm trying to say that it was a mutual thing, that they were open to it, and that they could like even predict which houses might be more resonant with what they were doing, rather than that it was just Garrett sending it out and they picked it up. But now that I'm saying this, Suzanne, there's a mutuality here that I didn't quite hear in the way Garrett was saying it. It's more like Garrett did it to them, where where I'm saying that they were at least open to it and looking for a house that might be responsive to what they were doing.
Yes, let me clarify. Garrett did not say that he was the reason why they came. It was more about the conversation and how, as you are saying, how they were attracted to, they could feel it, they could hear it, they could clairvoyantly sense it or detect it. And as they were doing their rounds, I think you're right. I think that they did, and this is what Garrett was saying, they did pick up on a different vibration in this house. And it wasn't just that Garrett was sitting there. It's because he was in conversation with me about this very concept. Mm-hmm.
I think the only difference I'm making is that they were open. They were looking.
Yes, absolutely.
And I don't know that I heard that in Garrett's description.
I think that it was there. I may not have relayed it properly, but they're always open because that's what they do. They're soliciting, they're going to talk to people about where they come from and who they are and what they believe, and they want to connect. Like that is the whole point. And so I think that that's exactly right.
Well, I'm looking at it. I'm trying to say that there are three elements in this. There's Garrett and you talking about it, and there is the people, the LDS people, knocking on doors. Sometimes they just go from one door to the next. There's no that's the system to it. But then there's the possibility that they have, let me call it, a radar out, trying to pick up where a good place might be. And that's the key in this, that from the LDS perspective, that other people can do this too. If you're open and believe it's possible, you can find your way to where you need to be without necessarily knowing just how it happened.
Yes, that's right. It's like they're following a radar or like a light, it's like they're following breadcrumbs in a way.
Exactly. And I call that human GPS. Without that, we have the subconscious capacity to get where we need to be without knowing how we got there. It's the radar is breadcrumbs. There are all kinds of a light. There are trackers of wild animals who see a light, a kind of a silvery cord that the animal has behind it, which they can follow to find where the animal is.
It's and I wonder about getting back to this idea of like a field, an energy field. There's something that maybe we all have the ability to detect. This was also what I was trying to get to the bottom of with Garrett, and I always get a little closer, but never quite. That really his work has to do with looking at your energy field or your biofield and seeing where energy gets stuck or where energy is, creating problems.
Where I will ask you and our listeners to think is the distinction between the energy field of my body, of your body, of other people's bodies, which modern science still doesn't think exists, although there are plenty of Eastern forms know it is a form of chi and chakras and been around and manipulated for a long time, but Western science does not quite accept that. That kind of energy in the body, and then energy between two people, which I love to talk about as a dancer. That when I dance, I can feel the energy in the room and feel the energy between me and somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's there, sometimes it's great, it's
Mm-hmm.
just super wonderful, and
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it's nice, but sometimes it's energetic for both of us, and just we pop around a lot. And I think you know what I mean. This is like localized energy fields.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have trouble with. Go ahead, and I'll tell you what I was talking about.
Oh, no, just to say, I think we all experience each other's energy fields. I think we all kind of intuitively know if someone's in a good mood, someone's in a bad mood, if someone is attracted to you, if they can't stand to be around you. Like all of these are, in addition to the emotional cues, I think that it's palpable to a lot of people, but we're just not really taught to acknowledge that it's palpable. And
not taught to believe that it's palpable.
To believe your own experience that it's
Exactly.
palpable, that you can be around like a really negative person who, if you've ever stood next to a negative, miserable, abusive person, you start to feel sick, right? I
Right.
mean, I think that that's part of it. If you stand next to someone who's incredibly positive and warm and loving, you feel really good.
Yeah, yeah, that's so well said. I could feel it over the phone with somebody who was really negative, and I was making me a little bit sick. Um, Doing it night after night, I just had to stop it. It was like so much negativity.
Mm.
But I like the way you are making yet that clearer to me. It's something about the way you are saying it comes across as standing next to the negative person, standing next to the positive person. You can pick it up, and the way you're saying it conveys clearer image of how that might look. So yeah, I think you've got a visual as well as a kinesthetic sense for what you're describing.
Maybe so. That's nice of you to say. I do think if it is visual, it's almost like, and I think that a lot of people experience this, you sort of learn to not see it because it's so much information, and we're sort of taught to not see it, that you don't really get the validation that you need if you are someone who can see energy. And this is part of what I've talked to Garrett about a lot. The outer world is not ready at this moment to validate being able to see energy clairvoyantly. And so that's okay. But meanwhile, Garrett has a client list that extends around the world. And there are plenty of psychiatrists, psychologists who are on his client list. And this sounds like I'm plugging Garrett. I don't necessarily mean to, but it is fascinating that even though our culture is not ready to believe that this is real, lots of people go to him for healings.
And I had this energy healer, as I mentioned to you, and it didn't really help because there's a limit to what energy healing can do. And what are some of those limits, do you think?
So it depends. Everyone works very differently, and I've definitely been to energy healers who, that you have to have very good boundaries. And I've worked with energy healers who don't have good boundaries, and so they end up putting all of their energy into your space, and then it's kind of like you feel worse. But if you have a really skilled practitioner, another interview I've done recently was with a Qigong master, and Qigong is the Chinese, traditional Chinese medicine modality of moving energy through the body, moving qi through the body. It's a skill. It is.
Well, I believe that. I'm just saying this guy is pretty skilled too, and he's done research with rats where he's cured cancers with rats, and it's amazing. I forget his name, and he's got a client list also. But we'll continue this in our next segment.
Sure.
We've come to the end of this one, and we're talking to Suzanne Clores, Memoirs of a Spiritual Outsider. This is Connecting with Coincidence. I'm your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD.
Mission Evolution is dedicated to the well-being of the planet and animals, as well as the evolution of humankind. One major factor threatening all three is increasing toxicity. Heavy metals and other environmental toxins are poisoning our bodies, deteriorating our brains, blocking our spiritual connection, and shortening our lives. Yet these poisons are extremely difficult to remove. I'm Gwilda Wiyaka, and I recently became aware of a product created from the marriage of nature and nanotechnology called Vitality. Is formulated from zoolite, whose crystalline structure binds toxins, gently carrying them out of the body. The light is only as clear as the window through which it shines. Clear your body, shine your light into the world. Visit vitalityhappens.com for a 20% discount. Enter code PATHHOME.
What happened in Benghazi is revealed by Nicholas Genix, author of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. He informs the American people that President Obama deceived them by advocating a strong foreign policy prior to the 2012 presidential election, and Hillary Clinton supported this deception. As the title infers, there is a connection between Obama, Islam, and Benghazi. Ample evidence informs Americans that Obama's early indoctrination in the Quran developed an affinity for Islam, why the Quran is the source of discontent in many countries, and why the Obama foreign policy deception led to poor military action and caused the loss of American lives in Benghazi. Genix provides 36 questions for the Select Committee on Benghazi to validate if Americans are justified to mistrust President Obama and Hillary Clinton. An overview of Obama, Islam, and Benghazi is presented on the website www.futureofgodamen.com. That's www.futureofgodamen.com.
The ancients knew what we have forgotten. In order to be empowered by nature, one must be aligned with the way life works. We've become increasingly disconnected from the earth and her cycles, to our extreme detriment. The medicine wheel ceremony is an ancient rite practiced by shamans worldwide to recalibrate their people with the powers of the universe. Join me, Gwilda Wiyaka, at the Galactic Shamanism Retreat this spring equinox, March 18th through the 22nd, in the beautiful Colorado Mountains. During this life-changing 3-day medicine wheel training, you'll learn to build and maintain your own cross-cultural shamanic medicine wheel to promote manifestation, health, and personal power. Empower yourself with the wisdom of the ancients. Contact Touch In at findyourpathhome.com or call 303-775-3431.
Oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes, oh yes. Welcome back, CC with BB. I am your host, Dr. Bernie Beitman, MD, and we're speaking with Suzanne Clores, and we're talking about energy healing, and we're raising the question of the limits of an energy healer, a good energy healer. Not one who has boundary problems that you were talking about before, because this guy that I was involved with was very, very positively seen and had the research to show that he could do it, as well as a client list that's pretty extensive. But my problem ended up needing some surgery. And so I'm just trying to make sure that our audience knows the limits of what an energy healer can do.
Oh, definitely. There are limits. It's not magic. It is to work in tandem with Western medicine, for sure. But I would say, if we're talking about limits, it seems to me that the patient also needs to take care of their their body and their energy. So I think a skilled energy healer can move energy that's blocking, creating pain. But that doesn't change exactly what is creating the pain, if that makes sense.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in psychiatry, it's pretty simple. The placebo response is pretty strong, and if I don't give pills to people who aren't ready to take them.
Right.
There's got to be an openness to change before anything it really hits the person, and then there is mobilizing the person's own capacities to make the change, and then adding into that the healer's addition to it.
Right. It's almost like, I guess, well, one example I can give is I have 3 examples of Garrett removing pain for me. One was from a physical injury that I also did months and months of physical therapy for. So it's not like I only relied on my energy healer to take this physical pain away. But there was a lot of pain that, referred pain, pain is strange. It is always moving, I find, and always changing. And so I think an energy healer can really help in many ways as you're addressing pain in as many ways as you can. It's more of a subtle address on their end. But I think also, one example that I have is that I had a very old dog who was very dear to me. She was dying and she was in pain, and he made the last 2 months of her life significantly better.
Oh, that's nice. That is good.
It was beautiful. It was palliative care, and it just, he worked on her a couple of times for the last 2 months of her life, and she would eat, she would drink, she would walk more actively. Like, it just was so obvious. If you live with a pet for a long time, you start to know how they feel.
Oh, yeah.
And so that's a really beautiful use of energy healing.
Yeah. Let's get to the question of how, because I am very familiar with localized energy fields personally. I am also familiar with feeling the pain of a loved one at a distance, which is not localized at all. With my father, it was 3,000 miles away as he was choking on his own blood, and I was choking uncontrollably in San Francisco. He was in Delaware. And a lot of people have this experience. I've done enough questionnaires, answers to see that, and stories as well. That's not that seems like the same thing, feeling the pain of a loved one close, like standing next to someone who's got a bad vibe, but it's not. It's at a distance, and there's something different about doing it at a distance. And the in-between version of that is the clairvoyant healer, who is not in the same place, but doing something like this simulpathity experience that a lot of people have. So and it's not energy in the present, but how do you? So this is where I'm confused. How do you? Because I think of the psychosphere as an energy information containing mental atmosphere that we're all immersed in, and through which we can traverse, and which I see as related to all this. But how do you understand the ability of Garrett and others to heal at a distance?
That's a good question. I think how I've come to see it is, if you give someone permission to access your energy field, and they have the ability to see, distance doesn't actually make a difference. It's almost like it circumvents space-time somehow. I'm trying to think of a good example of how we all might do that on a daily basis, but I think that Garrett in particular, and probably many other energy healers, there is some if we have a conversation and he's working at me from afar, I think that's a way that that helps him see. I know that some healers can work on someone from afar and not be in conversation with them. I don't know how that's done, but there's something about this type of clairvoyant vision. And it doesn't always have to be vision. It's like you say, it could be a sensory experience, or it could be a knowing, or it could be clairaudience. You could hear. Sometimes it's like you can hear the person in a way that is different from your traditional hearing. But if there's a connection, that's why I said, like, he has to ask you if he may access your energy. And if you say yes, then it's almost like, the way I see it visually, it's like your biofield becomes available.
Your answer is space-time gets collapsed. It doesn't really make any difference. Mm-hmm. And he can be there with you somehow. And it's I'm still a materialist, because right. I know that I can get in my car and turn the car on and go. There's something about this world that is kind of this 3D reality that I want to extend before I get too far out from it.
I know.
And need to have other explanations, because I think there are other explanations. There have to be.
I don't know what they are. I guess that's the answer. Like, I don't have a 3D reality explanation. I don't know, but I do know that having accessed, I think people can access the 4D and the 5D.
Yeah.
That I believe. And so I don't know how that fits into materialism, but I think that's more part of how I've been thinking about it.
4D can affect 3D. I mean, that's the way we can think about it.
That's good.
Can change the machine around, and I think you can do that. But I like to push the 3D thing for a while, just because I can visualize it. So when I think about the psychosphere, I see energy information floating around all around us that we can access, and that we create tunnels between our minds, which may be something like what you're talking about, so that Garrett's mind and your mind are connected at a distance, and not that he's there, but that you are connected somehow. And so I visualize these tunnels as connectors. They're very much internet-like. That we can connect literally with somebody else, and he can at a distance connect with your mind, because my energy and intention connects minds. Energy and intention with energy connects minds. And I'm visualizing this tunneling as a way in which that might happen. That's just another version, but I don't want to do space-time yet, because I can do a picture like this.
Well, I only mentioned space-time because I think that is a question that people have.
It is. It's a great thing to bring up, and it's an easier answer because we don't conceptualize.
You don't know,
space-time.
right?
I don't like to use hard to understand ideas to explain hard to understand events.
Me too.
But there's something to the space-time. There's something to it, so we have to be able to pay attention to it. Well, we have about another minute or so left, and I want to mention something that you also reminded me of in what you were talking about. It got me back to running that football, and something you also running that football and getting to the 40-yard line and having this idea to take a left, to cut across the field. I was on the right sideline, cut across the field, because John Green did it the week before. And I like to think that there are also there's thoughts coming into our minds from some higher self. And that's something about what you were talking about, that if we listen to our intuition, we can find guidance that may be coming from someplace what we think of as outside of ourselves. And then the outside and inside begin to get stretched, because then our insides become stretched to the outside. Well, we've come to the end of our segment, on our story today, Suzanne, and our show. It's been a pleasure having you. We've been talking with Suzanne Clores, author of Memoirs of a Spiritual Outsider. Thank you for being back with us on the XCBN network.